Stop reviewing shit. Okay, let's not get it twisted. My favorite app on my phone is Letterboxd. I'm an avid Letterboxd user. I don't think Letterboxd is evil by any means, but the way I've used Letterboxd has changed drastically in the last year. Now, this isn't only about Letterboxd or movies. This applies to all art. My argument is that we need to move away from numerical ratings for works of art. I want to explore both sides of the argument. So we're going to split this up into two sections. Section 1 is going to be about how we need to stop reading reviews of things. Then section 2, we're going to get into why we should stop trying to assign numerical values to art. And you might be thinking, "Oh, Broc, that's such a really random thing to be mad about. Why are you so mad about that?" Dude, it has a purpose. So just hear me out. We already all pretty much know that throughout history, critics have been known to be just downright wrong about some things. There's a story about Fight Club, I think it premiered at maybe Cannes. It was getting booed off the screen. And so we cannot trust critics. We cannot trust the world, really. There's a quote from Alexander Pope that I found. It's from an essay on criticism, and it says, "'Tis with our judgments as our watches. None go just alike, yet each believes his own." So in this quote, Alexander Pope is comparing our judgment to pocket watches, which we don't use anymore, but stay with me here. Back in the day, everyone's pocket watches were ticking a little bit differently. So everyone's walking around with a slightly different time, yet everyone is going to believe that their time is right. Everyone is going off their own time, what their own pocket watch says. And so that applies to us and our judgments, and that applies to critics when we're looking at a Rotten Tomatoes score, when we're looking at a Letterboxd score. The people reviewing this are reviewing it based on the tick of their own watch, based on their own judgment. We all view art through this filter that we've created, and each person's filter is very personal, based on things we've experienced, based on hardships we've gone through, based on great memories we have, nostalgic memories. We're all going to view things differently when it comes to art, and that's what the best art does. It's different for everyone. It doesn't tell you exactly how to feel or tell you exactly what to think about it. And so two people are going to watch the same movie and come away with completely different ideas about that movie, which is like, that's not a new thing to, I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here. Yeah, two people can have differing opinions. Oh yeah, you're a genius, Broc. I feel like we understand that on like a personal level, one-on-one, when we're talking to our friend and our friend doesn't like this movie, we kind of understand that we can have differing opinions. But I think for whatever reason, whether it be mob mentality or what have you, we're like so afraid to be in the minority. So now let's get into a little bit of psychology. A lot of you are probably familiar with the concept of confirmation bias, but if you're not, let me break it down for you real quick. Confirmation bias means you have an opinion, you have a set of values or a set of ideas, and you are going to look for and believe and give credit to only information that already supports your already held beliefs. If I'm making the case that aliens exist, I'm only looking at sources that will prove my point. And if I see anything that isn't in line with my already held belief, my brain tells me, oh, this thing is false. So how does this apply to movies and Letterboxd? Back in the day, I would only watch movies or go to movies if the reviews were good. And what is a good review? It's different for everybody, probably. Just as an example, say I'm going to watch The Mandalorian and Grogu. But before I go into Mandalorian and Grogu, I look at the Letterboxd score, and it's got a 3.3 stars on Letterboxd, which to me is like a pretty mid movie. I am now going to go into Mandalorian and Grogu, and I'm going to look for things in that movie that are going to support that 3.3 star rating, because I want to be a part of the hive mind on Letterboxd. And so as I'm watching, I'm looking for the bad things in the movie, and I'm ignoring the good things. That's where the confirmation bias comes in. It's the same principle. I'm looking for the things that make it a 3.3 stars so that I can come away and tell myself, yeah, that was a 3.3 stars. These guys were right, and I'm smart, and I'm cool, and I'm sexy. And I'm not actually thinking about things myself. I'm not actually using my own brain, and I'm not watching it through my own lens, which is detrimental to the movie watching experience. When we put a ton of stock into other people's analyses of this stuff, it's going to ruin our own chance at finding meaning for us personally, which to me is the whole point of art. And so I know a lot of you are thinking like, oh yeah, that's like a great piece of advice for a sheep because I'm an intelligent human. I can make my own choices. And that might be true, but confirmation bias actually affects conventionally intelligent people more. So if you think you're avoiding this, you probably aren't. Let's kind of counter this though. We'll counter both of the sections right here. So this is going to be the refutation section. What is the importance of critiquing art and reading critiques of art? There's an argument to be made that artists need to be held accountable. Sure. Yeah, because if we never critiqued anything, if we never talked negatively about something, artists would just think that we all love their stuff all the time and that they would never have to change or try. Some people might get complacent. Some people might get lazy with their work. In a perfect world, every artist would always just be creating to the best of their ability. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. But in this world, we got some people that don't really care about the craft, I feel. And so I think critiquing is important in that sense. But I feel like art is something that it is almost exempt from criticism in a way as it relates to the artist. If they're doing their job right, they're just taking whatever story or whatever feelings they have and they're just using this medium to express those feelings. And then you're going to come in and critique their feelings. If somebody came to you for consolation, like their loved one just died, and you're having a heart-to-heart with them and they're pouring out their soul to you, and you're critiquing the words they're using to express themselves that they are feeling lost, that just doesn't make any sense. And that's how I feel about critiquing art. And maybe that's wrong or maybe that's silly or childish, but I understand that there is a level of importance in keeping artists accountable so that we don't just get slop all the time, because nobody wants that either. Another argument to be made in favor of reading reviews and in turn leaving reviews, there's a lot of movies. There's a lot of TV shows, a lot of music coming out every day, especially in this economy. It's not economically viable to go watch everything. I understand that. I try and make an effort to watch as many movies as I can in the theater, but I understand that's not economically reasonable right now, or probably never was. And so people use reviews as a way to figure out what they want to spend their money on. What is going to be worth spending the $100 to take the family to the movies this weekend? If it's got a 3 stars on letterboxd or a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, it might just not be worth shelling out all that money for. I totally understand this. So that is something to consider when we're talking about this. I still don't think it's an accurate measurement, because maybe this movie that's being so lowly rated, your family's going to love. Your family's going to really enjoy it, and it's going to be a great outing for you guys. Although I understand that that is an important thing to consider as well, it still isn't fully justified in my opinion. All right, so now we get into section 2, which is stop leaving reviews on stuff. Stop trying to do quirky one-liners on Letterboxd. I was a big Letterboxd demon. I still am. Like I said, I use Letterboxd all the time, every day. But I would give those things star ratings. I noticed the whole time I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking about that star rating. I'm barely even watching the movie. I'm not even really present, because all I can think about is, oh, dude, yeah, this is a 4-star movie for sure. Oh, that shot, dude, this is maybe even a 4.5 after that shot. Oh, that score. Ooh, that was a rough line. Oh, we're back down to 4. That was what was going on through my head. And you can probably relate if you're watching this video. You can probably relate to that mentality. And I don't think you're giving a movie a fair shake. Another thing I would do is I'd be like, yeah, this movie feels like a 4, like really enjoying it. And then I think deeper and I'd be like, oh, but I gave that other movie a 3.5 and I like that movie more than this one. So I guess this one's a 3. And I'm just giving so much thought and energy into something that legitimately means nothing. And in turn, I'm probably missing out on just enjoying a movie. Another reason that I think you should stop leaving reviews, and why I have stopped leaving reviews, is when I leave a review, maybe this whole video is just meant for me and nobody else deals with this, but I kind of feel like I have to back that review up. Like what we were talking about earlier with confirmation bias. It's like, now that I've given this movie 3 stars, it's 3 stars forever. And I have to, every time somebody brings it up, that's my thing now. Because now people know I don't like this movie, and people are going to be like, oh, Broc, what about this movie? And now that's my thing. I have to hate that movie. It leaves little room to change. And there's a Walt Whitman quote that I found from one of his poems. And it says, "Do I contradict myself? Very well, then I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes." Dude, sometimes in the movie theater, I gotta piss really bad toward the third act of the movie. Depending on if I gotta piss or not, I might like the movie more. Because if the movie is dragging and I gotta pee, eternity kind of comes to mind, because that was the most I've ever had to pee in my life. But I did not want to leave because I was really, really riveted. I wanted to see who Elizabeth Olsen was going to pick. And it felt like the movie was dragging on for 3 extra hours in the last 20 minutes. But it was because I had these external factors that were crowding my judgment. And so that's not fair of me to be like, oh, eternity's ending is freaking long as hell and it just drags on. It's like, no, it didn't. I just really had to pee. Or sometimes I'm in the movie theater, I'm starving. The only thing I want to do is get out of the movie theater and go get some food, even if the movie is good. And so that's going to also, like, there's so many outside factors that if you only watch a movie once and leave a review and then that's your thoughts on the movie and you don't feel like you can change even if you rewatch it, that's just absurd. When Walt Whitman says, "I contain multitudes," humans are just contradictory. We're all walking hypocrites. So to take a hard stance on any movie like that is kind of just silly. So I think an important way to go forward, like, because I think, as I said, critiquing art is probably an important thing to do, or maybe discussing is a better word, because I love discussing movies. I like talking about things I like and things I don't like about a movie, but the language that we use should be adjusted a little bit. Like, for example, if somebody says, "Oh, the ending of that movie is terrible," I feel like we should change that to more subjective language. Like, "I didn't connect with the ending." It just creates a different sort of energy than if you're to say, "Oh, dude, that ending sucks." You kind of have to approach these things with the mindset that eventually you might change your mind. Eventually your heart might change about this particular thing. So you got to leave room for that. And this applies to a lot of things in life, not just even art. It applies to any time that you are about to state something matter-of-factly, you got to approach it like eventually you're going to change your mind. So in summation, everyone is looking at stuff differently. It's like if two people are looking at a building and the sun is coming up and you're standing on opposite sides. One of the sides of the building is going to be dark and shadowy and one is going to be really bright. Two people are looking at the same building. They're just looking at them from different points of view. That's how good art is. We view it through this filter of experiences and we all see these things differently. And so to trust somebody else's filter that is for them only and make decisions and watch movies through somebody else's filter is just silly. And it takes away from what could otherwise be a really great movie watching experience. So if you're a letterboxd user and you want to stop thinking and obsessing over, oh man, what quippy line am I going to put in my review? How many stars am I going to give this? If you want to just stop worrying about that, this is how I watch movies now. If I enjoy my time watching the movie, even if the movie is kind of incompetent, like for example, Passenger from earlier this year, it's not a great movie. There's lots of goofy, dumb stuff. But I went to the movie with my friend. We watched it together. There was some decent scares and the character. It was fun to watch. And I left the theater and I enjoyed my time at the movie theater. And so I just give it a heart on Letterboxd, just a heart. So it's either between heart or no heart. No heart is very rare nowadays. It's like if I want to walk out of the movie theater, it gets a no heart. It has to be like insanely bad and make me want to never watch a movie again to get a no heart. Or like I said, it's got to be some corporate slop that's just void of any sort of heart or soul. Yeah, just kind of pay attention to did you have a good time watching the movie? Did it affect you in some sort of way? Did you feel emotional? Did you cry? Did you laugh? And you don't have to worry about, oh, well, was it better than this other movie from this year? And I gave that this score, and so I have to. You're in the movie theater. You're doing equations instead of just listening to your feelings and your heart, which is what you should be doing when watching something or when consuming art. I don't know. A lot of you guys might disagree. If that's the case, drop a comment. Tell me why I'm wrong, because as I said earlier, I'm not totally set in this viewpoint. It's just something I find really interesting and that I've been practicing and that I wanted to kind of explore the arguments for and against. And so if you guys have any reasons that you think we should be reviewing art or we should be looking at reviews for art, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to yap about that with you guys. If you're on Letterboxd, I love following people on Letterboxd. So if you follow me, I will immediately follow you back. I had a couple people follow me from the last video, so shout out to you guys. That'll be linked in the description along with my Instagram. Check out my first feature film, They Will Remember My Name. That comes out August 23rd here on the YouTube channel. The teaser trailer for it is on this channel as well. So you can check that out. You can also check out my 2 other short films that are on this channel, Group Project and Red Velvet. Also, let me know what you guys have been watching lately. I wanna hear. So comment down below what you've been watching, whether it's in the theater or it's just something that you watched in your free time. Let me know. All right, peace.